welcome to the next episode of the Backstory on Marketing and AI. If you haven't already done so, please visit prorelevant.com and sign up for all of these episodes and podcasts. I am the author of the upcoming book, The AI Marketing Machine, and you can find out more information about that at marketingmachine.prorelevant.com. Today, I'm interviewing Stephen Heitz of Livige. And let me tell you a little bit about him. He is the Chief Innovation Officer at Livige, the top ranked advertising agency in Phoenix, and would be and he has done a ton of podcasts, and he is a pioneering user of predictive AI and SEO. And he's done and he sees that as a breakthrough that gives marketers the ability to see if content will rank before it goes live. His expertise in SEO, artificial intelligence are second to none, and looking forward to his conversation. So, Stephen, welcome and good to have you.
Great to be here, Guy. Looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah, fantastic. So, what is your backstory on AI and marketing? How did you get involved in this?
So, I went to school to become a chemical engineer, and they told me you got to take some computer programming classes before you can get into the engineering college. And so I started my career in tech, fell in love with it. In fact, I think, if you go back to my first consulting gigs in college, helping small and medium-sized businesses with tech, the first question they always wanted to know was what's working in marketing? Can you add that? How did you hear of us field? Can you create some more reports for me? How do I know if this print ad or sponsorship I'm about to do is going to work? And so in my all of my career in both tech and marketing, that's been the one thing that's been on my mind is how do businesses create new customers? And that merger between tech and marketing has been just kind of my story.
Yeah, fantastic. And it's funny because I was an electrical engineer and now I'm using technology in marketing. So,
Yeah,
the technology background makes a big difference. And certainly then computer programming and whatever, I had to learn, I don't know about you, but I had to learn Fortran and BASIC and all these
sure.
wacko languages that aren't even out there
Yes.
anymore.
Well, but you remember there was AI back then too. We had very early stages of AI and some of those languages. But yes, it's been a very interesting ride.
Yeah, I don't know if I would call that AI though, compared to
Yeah,
what we've got
it
today.
doesn't stand up to the generative AI tools we use that we use today. But yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So tell us a little bit about Lavige. What is that?
Lavage is a full service marketing agency, and we serve clients across a number of industries: healthcare, education, government, economic development, nonprofits. And our clients come to us for when they don't want to integrate things on their own. So they need creative and media and PR and digital all together in one place, really creating those integrated campaigns.
Yeah, fantastic. So now you're doing a lot in predictive SEO. Tell us what that is and how that's really almost reshaping marketing, especially with not only just SEO, but then AI-based search engine optimization.
Yeah, I think that what we see is all of our clients and marketers in general are very, very worried about the disruption to their user journeys, right? These user journeys, search was a key touch point in those user journeys. And now search and discovery is moving into the generative AI world, whether that's ChatGPT or AI mode from Google or Perplexity or these other places. And all the work we did to get people to our sites or start that conversation with them, that's all being changed. And it's not like it's totally new. We remember that Google started answering questions and providing questions and answers. So this zero click idea of getting more than just, a list of 10 links or some paid links and 10 links has been happening for a while. But when we're coming down to it now, we're really in a situation where when we talk to ChatGPT or Google Gemini, we're going to get answers, not necessarily a bunch of things to go research. And so, as that changes, what is the role of our website, and how do we make sure that our brands are discoverable in this new journey? And the reality is that for whether you call it answer engine optimization or generative engine optimization, the discovery process here is part SEO, part PR, and part reputation. And the reality is that the top links on Google are going to get crawled by ChatGPT when you ask questions and deep research mode kicks in. So if you're not ranking organically, you're already way, in a deficit situation. And then the other factor now becomes those authoritative statements about my brand and how they're out there are like the new name, address, and phone number, when we talked about local, right? Like you had to have your name, address, and phone number mapping everywhere. Now these authoritative statements about what my brand is, what it does, how it works, have to be repeated again and again and again, because that's how neural networks work. I like to use Jeffrey Hinton's example of say the first thing that comes to mind when I ask you this question. What do cows drink? And most people will say milk if they do it unfiltered, right? And that's the neural network. That's the association. Why? Because cow and milk are more out there together in the world. So that's part of it too. And then our reputations that are being seen and scraped. So when we look at this, the question becomes, okay, well, let's start with this foundational issue of ranking in search and organically. And why is it such a place of underinvestment for brands today? Well, right now it's hard and difficult. I do some sort of keywords I want to rank for. We do some sort of competitive search assessment. We look at who's winning and why. We develop a content gap analysis. We do all this work. And then 6 to 9 months later, hopefully, things have changed and we're ranking ahead for the keywords we care about. That's a 6 to 9 month process. And any marketer is going to say, well, I need results today, so I'm going to pay for them. So we have this huge investment in paid search. That investment in paid search has a lot of problems, but let's just start with the fact that it's happening and that the reality is that even though we're investing all this money in paid search, literally less than 10% of the clicks are going to these paid ads because people know to scroll. They also know, okay, maybe I want somebody who wants to pay for this term and maybe I don't. Maybe I want to see what's really there. And even if there's an AI mode answer, there's still a disproportionate number of clicks going to organic than paid. So it's a gold mine, but people don't know how to get there. And the reason that they can't get there is because it's not predictable. And because of this long cycle and the voodoo magic of whatever, and all of the trouble that SEOs have created for themselves with their black hat tactics over the years, an investment in SEO is nothing you're going to walk into your CEO about and go, yeah, we're going to do this and it's going to work. That brings us to predictive SEO. So this is the moment in time where preparation meets opportunity. Scott Stouffer and the team at Market Brew have been working in their own SEO agency for the last 15 years, and 15 years ago patented search transparency, a way of using machine learning and algorithms, and even the GPT before we had the general purpose transformer, before we had ChatGPT, to literally create digital twins of Google or Bing or any search engine. And so by doing that, we do not have a black box anymore. We actually understand the rankings, we're recalibrating the models, and we've been using machine learning for 15 years to make mirrored copies of Google for this thing. So now we have access to a digital twin. And the largest companies in the world have been using it, and they've all wanted no one to know about it. So seeing this opportunity, they can also now see what AI mode sees so that we can look at the fan out prompts and look at how our content is correlating with the fan out prompts that are being created in the LLMs. And we can get an exact blueprint of what we need to do to make changes. That's fantastic. Now, the next thing we can do with that is we can make those changes and we can use the simulator because it's a digital twin, literally a chameleon of Google, and see what's going to happen. So now we have this idea, and as someone who's taken some programming classes, remember the idea of user acceptance testing? So now we have search acceptance testing where marketers and CMOs can look at the changes, prove them, see how they're not going to move the needle, make the change again, work back through that, and then deploy the content that we know will work and rank right away. Now, the beauty of this is when we talk to brands, there's another factor that's also impacting brands. So we talked about the first meta problem, which is, am I going to be discovered in AI? The second meta problem is, how am I building my brand? The University of Oxford Syed Business School released a major study at the end of last year that basically said that 88% of campaigns achieve their goals of reaching their target audience, but only 8% are effective at moving any brand attribute, whether that's motivation to purchase, recall, awareness, or unaided awareness. So basically, marketers have got, am I going to get discovered in AI? And shit, I only have an 8% chance of my campaign being effective. And then Work released the multiplier effect study earlier in January and February, talking about this idea of this false narrative between brand and performance. And so when you look at search, you look at a performance model that really isn't there, and you say, how can I move more money into brand? Well, this is combining these two problems is the unlock because I can go to the CMO and I can say, okay, let's just see if we can get this ranking done in organic. And then when we get this replacement traffic, you'll pay us 45 cents on the dollar of what you paid Google only when you get the traffic, and you'll just take it out of your paid search budget. Now it's reliable, it's forecastable, and you start to get a huge benefit and you can start moving those dollars back into brand building activities. And so that's why we're so excited about predictive SEO and how it unlocks so many things for the CMO.
Wow, well, I never heard of this digital twin. That's just fascinating news. So you have a twin, or there exists a twin of Google, of the Google search engine,
Or any
and so
search
then,
engine. Yeah, you can take this model. This be based on these. So the you can look at the patents for search transparency. There's this thing called particle swarm optimization. It looks at 35 factors over 1539, the way that object works out, 1536 dimensions, and does all that neural network stuff. And so for any given set of searches, you can point it at ChatGPT or Bing and say, create me a digital twin of what's happening and why the outputs are coming the way they are.
wow, wow, that is just incredible. So now I like your idea to now use this predictive SEO to get your organic going faster. So, you were talking about 6 months, which is kind of the rule of thumb. So how much quicker now does it actually work to get your rankings up?
60 days or less. But you don't have to wait for that time of wondering if what you're going to do work. You just need to have, we look at how often is Google recrawling the site, when will all the pages get recrawled, and when will all the cross references fit into their index. And so that's the piece that's latent. But you've kind of, and then the other thing is this thing is always staying ahead. This digital twin predicted embeddings before we had embeddings, moving from latent semantic terms to embeddings. So this is your always and forever ahead of the algorithm as it changes. Keep that momentum going and moving.
Wow, very interesting. So now, one of the things though is people are interested in, tracking attribution and setting benchmarks. And so, how do you see predictive SEO fitting into that?
Well, the good news is it's pretty clear many tools exist to track your rankings in organic. And also tools are starting to exist today to track your mentions and outcomes based on ChatGPT and other things. So those are clear, easy benchmarks. What we did at Lavage was we saw in the industry about 10 years ago that people were going and bragging about how many keywords they had ranking in position one. Well, that's kind of a bullshit, for lack of a better term, because what if one term has 10 searches a month and the other term has 1,000? So we created a weighted visibility impact index where when we look at this with clients, we're basically looking at let's weight these keywords by their volume and traffic potential and their conversion potential to you and where they fit in the funnel. So that's also part of that whole thing in terms of that transparency.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. It used to be, and I don't know, maybe it was a couple of years ago, and yeah, I get these emails that say, "Hey, we can make you be number one." And as a
Yeah,
small company,
100%.
nobody is searching on ProRelevant. Although I'd like to think there are millions, but nobody is searching on it. So
Yeah.
what good is it for me to be number one?
Yeah, and this goes back to the whole problem that Google has basically created a way of getting people to pay them for the privilege of navigating to your website. I have a client who spent $500,000 in Google Performance Max and had a 5,000 less decrease in their customer base year over year, but Google Performance Max said it was a 4x return on ad spend. Why? Because they knew who their current customers were, and these AI tools are getting so good at predicting what you're about to do that they know you're about to make that next purchase. And so whether you talked about it and they were listening, in the case of Meta or whatever, Meta Advantage Plus or Google Performance Max, they get in and they take credit for something you were about to do. And that's why we have to move money away from these tools and into the brand building so that we can, and organic lets us do that.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because now we do analytics on the marketing mix effectiveness, and so usually paid
Okay.
search does really well. And based on the impressions. Now, I will admit you have to be very careful how you measure it because you need to look at what we call total search because it's not just paid search, but it's paid plus organic plus direct plus things like Yelp or directory listings, and usually paid search comes out to be very effective on that.
Well, look at Bose. Bose just did, this year dropped paid search, especially brand, completely. Did a major test, a pullback in response to the work multiplier effect article. And they are bringing it back for certain specific non-brand terms only in a very unique way. But the reality is that direct attribution is no longer possible, as you probably don't know, because whether I could have had 10 touch points. Meta's going to raise its hand for each 10. Google's going to raise their hand for all 10, right? I'm not going to have that many orders. I have one person, 10 touch points, 20, attributions. So, and you're probably already in this move toward some kind of causal advanced attribution model, right? Which requires some advanced media mix modeling and triangulation and multipliers to be applied to this. But I think especially as you get into brands that don't have that kind of significant spend, you get under 50 million, that kind of stuff. Or how can you know what's to be true? And there's just so much. It's easier to show numbers. I like it. I liken it to the Vietnam War. We didn't know what to count, but we needed to count something, so we counted bodies. Didn't mean we were winning on the ground. And I think that that's what a lot of these signals we're getting from the platforms directly are, right? They're not the total picture by any means. And without getting through the noise, it's really hard to understand where to make that incremental investment.
Well, absolutely, and and that's why, and that is our business is to we look at impressions and we don't look at the body count, so to speak. We're looking
Yeah.
at we're trying to correlate and regress and using machine learning, of course, but to really look at what are the each of those impressions that are taking place and each of those pathways, but then regressing that against the against
Yep.
sales or something that's really meaningful, whatever your business requires. Yeah, fantastic. Well, that's very interesting. So now tell us about Market Brew. What is that exactly?
So Market Brew is the platform, the digital twin platform that has been released by Scott Stouffer, and it's licensed to agencies and through agencies only to marketers because it's obviously complex, and you need an agency to help you implement it. And then you create a ranking blueprint. Market Blue also offers some content booster options in terms of helping you get a draft or understanding how what their blueprint is telling you to do needs to end up in terms of content. What's really interesting today is that still, if you look at content that ranks on Google, 84% of that content is human created. And so this average of internet slop kind of world, I don't think is going to cut it in terms of brands, but we do need to help marketers understand what they need to create. And so giving them a starting point is pretty helpful there. Also, they have a way of injecting a chat bot into your site if you so desire that can start to get find the missing pages that people are asking questions about and start to create almost a self-healing process where based on things that aren't on your site that people are asking, it goes out and starts to say, well, if we needed to create content for this piece that would rank, here's what it would need, and get that in front of a marketer for approval so that we can quickly get to this new content right away. I think back to when you look at how brands grow and the Ehrenberg Bass Institute for Marketing Science, and you can get into evidence-based marketing. This is about unlocking category entry points. How do I specifically use this specific product in this specific way? Because that's how someone is going to ask the LLM. Like, I need the best wool hiking shirt, long sleeves for this, you know what I mean? That kind of, and so those are the kinds of things where we're going to end up creating a lot more of this category entry point content that we never used to do. Our category pages or product pages on our website, for example, to use ecom would be very generic, right? And not necessarily tied to the occasion or the category or the entry point that we need it for. And so that's, I think, where they also is going to help us unlock being discovered when I'm asking those specific things, in LLMs.
Yeah, exactly. So that brings us then to the, and I don't know, some people are calling it AEO or GEO,
GEO, yeah.
yeah, or who knows EO, but it's certainly optimization. So, what is, what's going on there, and how can we really, or what are the top three things that brands need to do to really be successful now, as people are looking for the best woolen shirts or socks, to go camping in?
Yeah, so that is the site architecture of our sites is changing so that they may not be the front door of your website, but we're creating content for um, the machines and the users, but the machines also to understand the ways people could use this. So that means ranking well for those long tail. It also means creating that long tail content that is going to be available. And then it's about the authoritative statements about my brand in other places. So I need that to be replicated, and that's where PR comes into play, mentions other, outreaching, getting on other websites, getting in major media, getting, Wirecutter, getting all those kinds of reviews and authority statements about those kinds of experiences and categories so that there's more references in the neural network, right? Unfortunately, and we've all seen it with deepfakes and misinformation. The more it's out there, the more the AI tools believe it, right? Because that's how the neural network works. So it's going to become, used at scale. But if we can get those things out there, that's important.
Yeah, so I'm just curious. So, as you were talking, I was thinking, so when you and then I repeated your search query, the best woolen socks or whatever it was. How does, because that's what people are looking for. I mean, I usually don't say best, but just get what, who makes the best, who makes socks or whatever, woolen socks for camping. And but I usually don't use the qualifier best, but I could imagine a lot of people do. So how does the search engine respond to saying, well, this is the best, and that one is maybe not quite so the best?
Yeah, so I don't think we can say that as our brand. What we need is the third party credibility of that. And that's where the reviews, right, and the other people who are influencers or heavy product users or brand ambassadors can make those comparisons for us, right? And so part of that is the PR strategy of making sure we're in all of those places. I think about, using this camping example. I don't know why we're in this rabbit hole because I don't camp, by the way. But the company Cool out of Utah, who makes a lot of gear in this regard, they have some brand ambassadors. And this guy, I was reading a review of pants because I am in the middle of Little League for my son who's 7 years old, and I just needed some pants that would work and stretch, and I wanted them to be cotton because the polyester stuff coming out of the athleisure world, I just sweat so mad. I'm just like, nah. So I sent Google Gemini off to do some deep research on this, right? And they find these articles from this guy who just blogs constantly about his camping experiences and has talked about all the three different types of pants, which ones make a lot of noise as you walk, which ones I would never have found this guy, right? But those are the kinds of things that is a very niche, right? I mean, to find this kind of thing that really kind of tipped me over the edge and made me pick the brand. So that's the kind of content and where we need PR and other kinds of things to help us engage a broader community to talk about our content and category entry points.
So basically, we need all of the same stuff, although what really sounds different is getting those authoritative statements out there. Now, can I
Yeah.
make if I make authoritative, like I'm so as a small business, but even a medium size, if I make authoritative statements about myself, are those going to work, or do I have to have, or is it better, I guess, to get others to make those authoritative statements?
Yeah, and I think when I say authoritative statements, I just mean like if you wanted anybody to say the top three things about your company, or 10 things about your company, those are what I would consider authoritative statements. Um, and just even like what we're doing here, I've talked about a couple of authoritative statements around Lavish about what we believe about um, generative AI, what we believe about AI and media buying, what we believe about predictive search. Just even that is getting it out on a different platform that'll get transcribed, right? picked up and shared. And so that's where, and that's happening through our PR team's help in, finding and putting us in those places. So I think that's kind of what I mean by that is you need it, even if you're repeating it, you're repeating it somewhere else or someone's um, going to take a guest article from you or allow you to kind of do those kinds of activities, that'll help.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. Absolutely. So, wow, the time has really flown. I do have one last question though for you, Steve,
Okay.
and that is, uh, we've got AI and we have new marketers coming in, and so what advice would you give an up and coming new marketer as they're trying to break into marketing nowadays?
Yeah, this is tough. When you look at what's happening to this entry level world, you're wondering if the shape of the pyramid that we've always had is now a diamond, and it's how do we fit into that? And I think of three things when I think about this. I think about will we break this 99-1 rule, right? 90% of people consume, 9% distribute, 1% create. Is AI going to unlock that or not? And then I also think a lot about data disfluency. And I think about Charles Duhigg's book, Smarter, Better, Faster, or Smarter, Faster, Better, when he talks about how these teachers weren't really getting better outcomes for students until they went into their own data room and began mapping the data themselves. And then all of a sudden, this school in Cincinnati, Ohio went from worst performing to best performing because the teachers had to handle the data. And I worry about our next upcoming level of marketers who may just accept what AI is giving them. And this is where I think this is the work slop problem. You cannot do this, right? I mean, at Lavage, we have three core values: be creative, work smart, and have fun. That applies to the human. Be creative. The work smart, maybe use some AI and get some stuff, but you can't really, you can't outsource your brain, or you're going to provide no value to us or our clients. And I think that as long as you kind of come back to those values to be creative, work smart, and have fun, you can have a career in this industry. And all those elements are needed. When they're a spinning top, it's everything's perfect balance. It's a wonderful place to be, and it's why we get into the business. But don't let any one of those get out of balance for you.
Yeah, fascinating, and it really makes a lot of sense. And unfortunately, I think education has to totally switch. I don't know if it has to be, in high school, but certainly in college, because you have to be able to produce people that people have, students that are coming out that are going to offer real value day one, because otherwise, the mid-tier, the mid-level person or the senior person can just go to AI and say, well, I'll just get this
Exactly.
answer real quick
Yeah.
and I'll be done. I don't need to, train somebody. And which also, though, is a challenge because at some point, then, you're going to run out of those people that are at the top of that diamond, and
Yeah.
you gotta bring them in, and and so then the education that needs to be done for the larger companies at a minimum, but also, the agencies has got to be able to take place to bring those new people in, get them trained up super fast so that they are really able to deliver value.
It's going to be hard. I don't know how we will do it. The apprenticeship model will have to change because I would say that there's not been a person who came out of college who we could put right in front of a client without a good couple of years of retraining and experience. And I don't know how that apprenticeship would work. And I don't know, if you take a technical field, will we have to have PhDs only? Is it just stay in longer because you're going to have to know your subject so well that you can master the AI and use it creatively, where you couldn't with just a bachelor's degree anymore?
Well, but I think though that also and you might be right, but then it's even how you train those PhDs and master's students, if it
Yep.
goes that far,
100%.
on how
Yeah.
to be, how to be trained differently, because now they're going to be expected to do more, deliver higher value, get paid more, and therefore they have to deliver value a lot faster.
I will say, when I'm talking to one of our clients is in the utility space, largest utility in Arizona, they have a fantastic apprenticeship program. I don't know how that changes with AI or how apprenticeship fits in almost even in schooling and how those people come alongside and how we compensate for a dual role, in the future. But it is going to be an interesting future for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Stephen, thank you so much. Wow, I learned a ton here. Now I understand, at least at a top level, what predictive SEO, and I'm really grateful for that. And also then this digital twin concept for a search engine. Wow, that is just fascinating. So thank you so much. And where can folks reach out to you and learn more about your company?
Yeah, lavidge.com, lavidge.com, and we'll take it from there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And for the audience, please stay tuned for many other videos in this series of the backstory on marketing and AI. And please visit marketingmachine.prorelevant.com for more information on my book. Stephen, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Great to talk with you, Guy.